Comic values go up and comic values go down. We're going to look over the last month, the books in my personal collection that had the biggest increases and the biggest decreases in value. Up next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Hey there, comic book community. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. In case you missed it, we had our 3,500 subscriber giveaway, and over there, put it over there, there's the winner. Hit me up, Instagram, email, whatever. Let me know how to get you your books. We're going to be doing our 4,000 subscriber giveaway real soon, and I'll have the details very shortly. In the meantime, follow us on the other socials, Instagram, Bronzeville_comics, Whatnot, Bronzeville_comics. We do sales every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and next Monday, and I think the following Monday, we have so many books we're going to be doing a big, lower grade, but a lot of silver and bronze books up and available on Whatnot. In addition, there is a link in the description of this video that if you are not yet on Whatnot and you use the link, you'll get $10 off your first purchase regardless of who it's with. There's also a link to my eBay store. There is a link to my email, and there's a link to the site for the King Con 4 show coming up March 25th and 26th in Island, New Jersey. So just to cut to what we're going to do in this video. I was doing it for a couple weeks weekly, but I decided let's let it percolate over the course of a month. And what I do is I have my collections stored in the CLZ app. I don't get any money from CLZ or Cover Price or anybody like that. I just use these apps. I pay for them. I use them. CLZ I use to catalog my collections, which means I can keep separate my personal collection and collections that I picked up. And then what I do is there is a way CLZ has a partnership with Cover Price, where it will give you approximate values of your comics. It's a useful starting point for the values of comics, and we'll see there are some imperfections here. But what happens is you can choose to update the values of your collection. It'll show you the books that have gained the most value, all the way to ones that gained the least, and then the ones that have lost the most value. Give an entire list and tell you how, according to the Cover Price sales data, how their values have changed. Now, they used to use, I think they used to use Cover Price, but Cover Price only tracks graded books. And that is a small percentage of the books that most people have in their collections, certainly a small percentage that I have. And most books aren't worth getting slabbed. So is it a $3 book? Is it a $5 book? Is it a $10 book? Dependent on condition. So you can put the condition in there, and Cover Price will give you an approximate grade based on recent sales for that issue and that condition. It's imperfect, and especially for books that don't sell that often, we'll see a couple here on the list. They'll use the price in the most common grade. So the problem is you may have a lower grade slab, but the most common grade is a 9.2. They're going to give you the value for 9.2, and that's going to be one of the books we're going to talk about. But we're going to start with the top 10 books that have lost the most value over the last month of books in my personal collection. Number 10 on the list is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 43, Raw Very Fine, which is decreased in value $144 from $550 to $406. This is the second appearance of Mary Jane Watson and the third appearance of the Rhino, a classic Spider-Man book. I do think since the comic boom, some of these second and third appearances have decreased more in value as the first appearances have become more affordable for more collectors. When prices started to get way out of hand during the comic boom, people were moving towards second appearances, third appearances, first cover, first solo story, all those sorts of things. Those still have key significance, but I don't think they're chased quite as much as they were a year and a half to 2 years ago. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. And at number 9 is a copy of XMen 49 in a fine, very fine, raw book. Lost $159 in value from $355 to $196. This is a copy of the first appearance of Polaris. It's got this classic Jim Steranko cover. The cover is not as classic as the next issue would be, which is the first cover appearance of Polaris. This one I actually have in my personal collection. It is not in my possession right now. It is off at CBCS, having the Steranko signature on the cover verified. So it's hard to denote that value in that condition. Up next, another X-Men book. X-Men 101, the first appearance of Phoenix, also in a fine, very fine raw copy, has lost $162 in value from $514 down to $352. Generally speaking, X-Men keys are a little bit cool right now because we don't have any news, and I think people aren't rushing out to get them because we seem to be further away from news than ever before. There's no real sign of the X-Men in force coming into the MCU. Obviously, we're getting Hugh Jackman as Wolverine back in Deadpool 3, and we'll probably have some cameos of other X-Men characters there as well. But I think now might be the time to scoop up some X-Men books because people are like looking elsewhere right now. Number 7 on the list, and this is interesting. This is a book that keeps losing value. This is Fantastic Four 48 and a CGC 6.5, which is down another $188 from $2,368 to $2,180. This is the first appearance of the Silver Surfer, the first cameo appearance of Galactus. This is one of the books that kind of exploded during the comic boom, because people were looking at characters that had not yet popped in the MCU, but we think are coming. And I think the 3 big ones that we know are coming, but we don't have any confirmation of, are Silver Surfer, Galactus, and Doctor Doom. And there's so many Fantastic Four keys related to those characters. This book was well above this price range a while ago. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens to that if we do get an announcement of, let's say, a major actor cast to portray Silver Surfer. Number 7 on the list is Avengers VIII in a CGC 2.0, the first appearance of Kang. This down $197 from $577 to $380. Post Ant-Man Quantumania. You know, the build up towards the movie, and then after the movie's out, those appearances of the characters drop in value. However, no spoilers really, but we know Jonathan Majors is going to be around for a while. They have another movie named after Kang, so I think Kang is coming back. I actually, in all transparency, I did sell this book. I had gotten as part of a trade, and I sold it, not quite for $577 to be honest, but it might be a good book to pick up at some point, again, to add back to the collection. Number 5 on the list, related to number 8, and this is Fantastic Four number 50 in a very fine minus raw copy, down $227 from $1105 to $879. And again, Silver Surfer, Galactus, we haven't seen them yet, so money is kind of moving away from those books and those characters and into other places. Like, let's say, I don't know, Punisher keys. So, you know, I think we will get some sort of bounce back when those announcements are made. And again, this is an imperfect science, so it is not always easy to pinpoint the exact reasons why. But let's look at number 4 on the list. And it is Silver Surfer number 4 in a raw fine condition, down $378 from $851 to $473. This classic cover by John Buscema with Silver Surfer and Thor is a very sought-after book. I'm actually a little bit surprised at how much of a price drop this has. I think that might be temporary. This is less related to character spec, I think, and more just this classic cover that collectors really want to have, even if they're not collecting all the Silver Surfer books. And there are a lot of people who like to collect those 18 Silver Surfer books because it's not that difficult. It's only 18 books, although 1, 3, and 4 are really pricey, and a lot of the others are not cheap either. But if you're a serious Silver Age collector, it's a lot easier to collect 18 Silver Surfer books as opposed to, let's say, 100 Amazing Spider-Man books. Let's look at number 3 on the list, and this is Captain Marvel 27 in a raw, very fine minus. First appearance of Star Fox, down $424 from $460 to $36. What? What happened? 36. I think just somebody got a crazy deal on that. Might be somebody that seller didn't really know what they had. That often happens. Again, we're kind of in that valley, right? We got, Harry Styles is going to play Star Fox, and then we haven't heard anything for a while. So we don't know when Star Fox is going to appear next. It's like, oh, maybe it'll be She-Hulk. No, he's not She-Hulk. So we kind of, those peaks and valleys that we often ride, I think we're in a valley for this book. I don't think it's a mega key, and, $460 might be a little bit much for a raw, very fine copy. So I think we're somewhere in between. I think, if you kind of average out the 460 and the 36 to about $250, that might even be a bit pricey for this book. But it is, for its era, it's, not the easiest book to get in high grade. Let's go to number 2 on the list. And this is a book that's on the list on both ends all the time. And this is Daredevil number 1 in a good copy. Down $493 from $2,510 to $2,015. Daredevil, another one that's kind of ridden the roller coaster over the last year and a half, right? Daredevil, it had been kind of rising, and then it was like, okay, it's an undervalued key. It is a, Marvel blue chip, Silver Age number 1. He's in No Way Home. Oh, he's going to get his own show. He's in She-Hulk. And then now we're in that valley where there hasn't been much news. So I think, it's still a mega key. It's still over $2,000 for a, good comic book. But it, probably is gonna, I think it's gonna kind of plateau at this level. We haven't seen it in values in gain in value recently as well. But let's look at number 1 on the list, and this comes with a little bit of an asterisk. This is XMen 109 in a CGC 8.5, down $520 from $720 to $200. Now, this is where kind of the maybe overinflation of values in the CLZ app occurs because of its relationship with cover price. The fact of the matter is, there were no CGC 8.5s in cover price's data bank prior to this recent $200 sale. And if you look around it at 8.0s and 9.0s, $200 is about right. The $720 sale, I think, was either a 9.4 or 9.6 because that was the most commonly sold grade of a slabbed book of this issue. This is the first appearance of James McDonald, the Vindicator. I think he's Weapon Alpha initially, this classic John Byrne cover of him punching the daylights out of Wolverine. Again, there's that speculation. Alpha Flight was a popular thing to jump on during the comic boom, and now who knows when we're going to get them, so kind of reality sets in. It's like, Alpha Flight, we're going to see Alpha Flight. We got to see Alpha Flight sometime soon. And it's not there yet. So now it's like, well, what else can we, see? What other characters are gonna surface? It's still, I think, a big key, and I think $200 and 8.5 is about right, but the 720 was inflated because you have to look careful at the CLZ app because if it's a gray number, it's not a recent sale, and if it's a different grade, it will indicate that next to the list price. So those are the 10 biggest value drops. Now, overall, when I do the update and it has the overall value of the collection, it's about the same. I think we're overall in kind of a leveling off period. Actually, because I put different collections that I bring into other collections within the CLZ app, and then I have to, kind of look at all of them separately. The main one, my main PC went up a little bit. Some of the others went down a little bit, up a bit, but kind of we're staying pretty much level. But let's look at the biggest gains. And at number 10, there are sometimes contradictions here. And one of those is Fantastic Four 49, the second appearance of Silver Surfer, the full appearance of Galactus in a CGC 3.5, up $137 from $574 to $711. We saw some of those Silver Surfer keys decrease, this one increase, and it's not the last one we're going to talk about. So I'm just going to move on to number 9. Amazing Spider-Man 51, the second appearance of the Kingpin in a raw very fine minus, up $149 from $402 to $551. Kingpin followed a similar trajectory to Daredevil because the characters are related. We saw him in the Hawkeye TV series, which came out around the same time as Spider-Man No Way Home. And then news that Kingpin was going to be a major character in the Daredevil TV series upcoming on Disney+. We know D'Onofrio's reprising the role. He's there. This is a good secondary key. You know, it's the second appearance of Kingpin, the first cover appearance. So I think that that price will kind of fluctuate there a little bit. I don't think anything's really going to drive it up substantially until we get some more concrete news. And even then, I don't think it has a lot of room to increase much in value across the board in different grades. But I think it will be a consistent increaser. Again, this is only my opinion. This is only some small sliver of information I've gleaned. I am not a financial advisor. Don't buy a comic book and say Bronzeville told me to buy that. You know, buy what you like, but just do your own research. We're going to go to number 8 on the list, and that is another Amazing Spider-Man 20, in a very good raw condition. The first appearance of the Scorpion, up $151 from $461 to $612. I think just Spider-Man keys. Spider-Man keys always move. They may go up a little bit and down a little bit, but it's always something that people want. And as I said earlier in this video, you know, Silver Surfer is a collectible run, but Spider-Man is a run that a lot of people want to try to collect. I think of all the Marvel runs from the Silver Age, Spider-Man's probably the most popular because X-Men, I don't think excites fans as much with a lot of those Silver Age issues as it does with the Bronze Age, new X-Men stuff, and certainly you have the reprints, which some people don't want to buy. Some people say you have to get it. We were actually having that debate on my Whatnot chat the other day with you know, a couple of people there who are X-Men collectors. So, you know, Fantastic Four is collectible, but I think it's not as big as Spider-Man. You know, same thing with Daredevil, and Daredevil has a lot of silly issues in the Silver Age. Daredevil really didn't hit his stride until Frank Miller took over the writing of that character. So, anyway, that's, you know, Spider-Man's always going to be, on the whole, I think, increasing in value. Number 7 on the list, Batman 155, the first Silver Age appearance of the Penguin in the CGC 3.0, up $312 from, up $159 from $312 to $471. There is a series coming out on HBO Max. More people getting excited about DC. Those Batman keys, there are people, you can't collect the whole Batman run realistically. There are only a handful of people that actually physically could collect them because there's so few copies of those Golden Age books. But, you know, in terms of Silver Age, people like to collect the first appearances or the first Silver Age appearances of the major rogues. There are a lot of those you can get, and Penguin is one of the earliest of them. Let's move up to number 6 on the list. And this is a book that I love. It is Green Lantern 87 in the CGC 8.5. I have 2 of those, up $162 from $806 to $968. We're getting Jon Stewart on an HBO Max Lanterns TV series. I think, you know, there's been excitement about this character. This is a great book, great Neil Adams cover. I think it's going to be a solid key over the long run, regardless of what happens with the TV show. But I think some of the interest in the TV show is boosting that value. Let's move on to another Batman villain, Silver Age first appearance, and that is Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, number 70 in a CGC 4.0, up, in a Raw 4.0, up $181 from $135 to $316. A little bit tougher book to get in high grade. Just because of its age, and you know, Lois Lane wasn't a book that was necessarily coveted by collectors early on. Kind of a book that was thrown around a little bit. Did have a reasonably high print run because everything was Superman in the 60s. So that is, it's a decent book to have. And again, I think those Silver Age Batman villain keys are going to maintain an increase in value. Number 4 on the list, Doctor Strange #1. In a very fine near mint, up $194 from $69 to $263. About a year late for Doctor Strange books to be popping. But I think this is another decent Bronze Age key. 69 is probably a little bit low. 263 maybe a little bit high for that book. I think it kind of falls somewhere in the middle, so it just could be a couple of, outliers on either end. Let's move to number 3 on the list, and this really intrigues me. Raw fine condition of Werewolf by Night 32, up $205 from $224 from $670 to $884. First appearance of Moon Knight. Everybody was like jumping on Moon Knight, and the release of his show, the anticipation building up to its release, coincided with the comic boom. His keys went wild. Settled down to earth thereafter. I think this surprised me. The book is up. I think this is still a pretty good time to get some Moon Knight books because people have kind of moved away from it, and we don't know what the future of the character holds in the MCU. Number 2 on the list. Talked about 3 books that we saw on the loss in value list, and 1 book earlier on this gain in value list. Here's another one that's related to the same character. Silver Surfer #1, Raw VG, up $254 from $356 to $610. I can't explain the dichotomy of Silver Surfer keys being both on the list of gains in value and losses in value. I think this was just a good day for the seller, that he was able to get a good amount of money out of his copy. And again, when you're talking about raw copies, there is a little more variability within those grades, because usually the way the cover price does it, it has, I think, like maybe a 3 or 4 grade range of books at each category, and probably 3 grade range. So like very fine would include very fine plus, very fine minus, maybe even very fine. So it could be at the higher end, the lower end, and when you're looking at a raw book, if I'm looking at a raw book on eBay, I might see something somebody lists as a very fine minus, and I think it has a possibility to be, pressed, clean, graded, and get, maybe near mint minus, and get a big bump in value that way. So that always could be, and that's always tricky with Silver Surfer 1 because of that square bound spine that it does split rather easily. Let's move up to number 1 on the list, and this is a book I'm so happy to see on the list. It is Batman Adventures 12, the first appearance of Harley Quinn in a CGC 9.8, which is up $310 from $25.50 up to $28.60. Why am I happy to have this on the list? I already have a CGC 9.8, and I have a second minty copy out at CGC right now, and I have my fingers really crossed because it's a contender. We'll see in the next couple of weeks if the good folks down in Sarasota agree with me, but is it the Lady Gaga news associated with the second Joker movie? I don't know. I think, again, this is a book that collectors like to have in terms of popular culture. I don't know how much more of a boost we're going to get from movies for Harley Quinn. We had Margot Robbie portraying her. We're going to have Lady Gaga evidently portraying her. We've had the animated series. But Harley Quinn is a major character in DC, and I think will continue to be so. If you go to a comic convention, you look around at cosplayers, there are plenty of Harley Quinns. So the popularity of the character, the difficulty of finding this book in high grade kind of contribute to, I think, its overall increase in value. This was a book, though, that was like $4,500 at its peak. And during the comic boom, I held on to it. But who knew? At the time that the prices would go up and come down. Should have known, but yeah, I'm not, reading the markets is not necessarily my specialty. That's why don't take financial advice from me. I just know, what comics are, how, what comics are keys, what characters are interesting to me, and just that I have fun with it. So that's kind of the list here. Let me know what you think about the books that have gained and lost value. Is it time to buy some of these books that have lost value and dipped? Maybe. Do we see a trend? I'm not sure. I think the overall trend is that we're kind of in a steadying area. Maybe we're moving up a little bit overall in the market, which two things, it's better if I'm selling books if the prices are high, but if it's better for me to buy books if the prices are low. So if I'm just buying and selling, maybe it's about a wash. So let me know what you think in the comments below. In the meantime, you can take a look at a couple of my other videos here and here. And this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.